Yeah, you got scared with bad luck. Boom, boom.
Welcome to Electric Enthusiasm, the podcast where we celebrate unironic enthusiasm. I suspect script is going to struggle a lot with this episode. Katie Cobalt.
And I am Alexander Killiff, and I just pray to God that nobody's going to try to make me pronounce any weird Chinese words.
No, of course not. We wouldn't do that to you. Alex, tell us how this works.
Well, in each episode, one of us presents a topic that they love, but that the other host knows little or nothing about, and then tries their hardest to spread that enthusiasm to the other host and to you, the listener. And sometimes we have guests on, like today, who are also super excited about something that one of us knows nearly nothing about.
We also have the moment of meta, where we nerd out about enthusiasm itself and talk about why enthusiasm matters and how you can live a more enthusiastic life.
Yeah, because we think the world needs more enthusiasm, and you can share yours with us on our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or our Instagram @electricenthusiasm, and tell us what you're excited about these days. You could even plain old send us an email at hello@electricenthusiasm.com.
Today's topic is a little bit special because Lunar New Year is celebrated across many different cultures, and what you're going to hear on today's podcast is from a very specific viewpoint, our viewpoint, and it doesn't encompass what all Chinese people celebrate or what different cultures celebrate for Lunar New Year. We're not a monolith, so today we're going to be pretty specific. So, for example, I am Malaysian Chinese on my mother's side, so some of my traditions come from that side of the Chinese diaspora, but I was raised in Hong Kong, so some of the traditions I follow are Cantonese traditions. Where specific traditions are from, which culture, I have absolutely no idea. It's all blended together for me. I don't know. So I say we because I brought a guest on this episode today to help me out.
Woo!
Please welcome to the podcast, Miss Sarah Chua.
Hello. My name is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. I'm no expert in Chinese New Year, but I do celebrate it every year with a lot of enthusiasm. I am from Singapore, a tiny island south of Malaysia. Third generation Chinese, which means my great-great-grandparents immigrated from China. Because of Singapore's history, a lot of the Chinese culture has also blended together. So I'm just a generic Chinese person from Singapore. It's more nationality-based than ethnic-based.
I'm curious, Alex, what do you know about Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year? We're going to be using these phrases interchangeably today, but what do you know about this celebration?
Next to nothing. Well, it just happened. Yeah, right? Last week, right?
It's technically still happening as of recording.
God. See, I'm already getting it wrong. I have two images in my head. Firecrackers, is that a thing at all? Or,
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally thing.
And the lion dances.
Oh my god.
No.
Also totally
yes.
thing. Also totally
Okay,
thing.
good.
Yes.
I have vague images of those two things being involved. Otherwise, I know nothing.
Excellent. Okay, so very, very much a blank slate. So, like we do normally on this show, we are going to start with our facts first.
Yes.
So, Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, is based off the lunar calendar. Crazy. Oh my god. What? This year is Year of the Tiger, and it started on February the 1st, and the celebrations will end on the 15th of February, according to the Gregorian calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese New Year typically lasts about 15 or 16 days because it begins with a new moon that falls somewhere between the end of January to the end of February and ends on the following full moon. The Western New Year is really boring because you just had like the ball drop and then everyone's like, "Cool, that's it, it's over." And like, guys, we could keep partying for longer, no?
Yeah.
Yes, sounds fantastic already.
The only thing I would like to encourage you to try and pronounce is恭喜發財.
恭喜發財.
恭喜發財.
That's why she's here.
恭喜.
I'm saying it like a Guilo in Hong Kong.
What does Guilo mean? Guilo just means foreigner.
Guilo means foreigner. I'm saying it like a foreigner. Say it correctly.
恭喜發財.
恭喜.
恭喜
發財.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's the face I make when somebody mispronounces something in Danish. You're not fooling me. I'm getting it totally wrong. I can tell by the expression on your face.
You sound like me. So this is the thing we traditionally say around about Chinese New Year. It doesn't actually mean Happy New Year. It actually means congratulations, make money, be prosperous.
Going right to the point.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
It's all about the cold hard guy.
And to follow up our facts first, we're going to have myths second, because there's a
Mhm.
really cool origin myth behind Chinese New Year.
According to Chinese mythology, the story behind the New Year begins in a time of monsters. So, way back in ancient China, there was a beast or a dragon monster called Nian, and it would appear every year to eat and scare humans, as beasts do. So, one year, an old man had the idea to cover walls with red and also to light firecrackers to stop the Nian monster from destroying the village. And the next
Mhm.
morning, when the villagers came out from hiding again, they discovered that nothing was harmed. And thus, the legend was born. So, Nian actually translates to year in English. We celebrate heralding in the new year by scaring away bad luck, scaring away bad energy by sticking up red decorations, like diamond shaped pieces of paper, which has fu on it, which means fortune. Also, you mentioned earlier the firecrackers and even little cute cartoon depictions of the zodiac animals of the year. But most importantly, the new year is a time for families to get together and usher in the new year together. So it's family time.
Sounds great. That's a great origin story. It's a lot better than just, so the Earth made another revolution around the sun. Yay! Big deal, right? What kind of monster are we talking about here?
It's like a dragon beast
Dragon type?
creature,
Chinese dragon.
Chinese flowy dragon thing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Growing up in China, every year you watch a cartoon animation of the original story of this myth, where you see a cartoon dragon coming harassing a village.
Yeah.
Every year. Every
Their
freaking year.
little claws.
Yeah.
For...
I feel bad for the dragon. Like, he was just doing what dragons do, and all of a sudden they're like,
dude, I'm hungry. What am I supposed to eat?
To get into the traditions that we have around Chinese New Year, there's a lot of things you do and things you do not do. And so, Alex, we're going to have a game show where you are the only participant.
I've already won. Yeah.
Listeners at home, you are welcome to join in and leave in the comments what you guessed. Welcome to the game show of Do or Do Not, There Is No Try. In this particular game, I'm going to give you an activity that you might consider doing around about Chinese New Year, and we're going to tell you whether or not you're allowed to do it or do not do that, because bad things will happen to you and your family.
Very bad.
Are you ready to play the game, Alex?
I was born ready.
Around Chinese New Year, should you wear new clothes?
Yes, you should.
Correct! New clothes symbolize the new year and help bring a sense of newness and of fresh beginnings, and it's a good way to start the new year. Great job!
Thank you.
Should you, on the first day of Chinese New Year, clean your house?
Yes, you should.
Incorrect! All of the spring cleaning for the new year must be done by the stroke of midnight of the previous year. If you clean during the first day of the new year, you will clean away all of your good luck.
Oh no.
Such scandal.
I know.
Okay, this is a multiple choice question of which there are two choices. During Chinese New Year, it is tradition to go to people's houses and bring them a fruit. Should you bring them oranges or pears?
I know this, I think. I think pears are bad luck, right?
Yes!
Yes! And I know this from watching The Good Place. There is an episode where Eleanor comes into Hani's and Jason's house. This is before they know that Jason is not John Yu the monk. And she brings to Hani a basket of pears.
Yeah.
And Tahani throws them in the trash because they're bad luck in. So yes! You can learn so much from The Good Place, including Chinese customs. So you should bring oranges, right?
Yes, you should bring oranges.
Yes.
Oranges are considered very prosperous around about this time of year. They are gold and they are round, which is very much like money. People like this.
So what's wrong with pears, though?
You're going to find this is a very common thread throughout everything we're going to talk about today. The word for pears, it's a homophone for the word parting or to leave.
Which is pronounced li kai. And to say pear, it's li. So the li spelling kind of sounds dissimilar. Yeah.
And so it's considered like you're leaving or you're throwing away something.
Interesting.
So much of that is going to happen today. You have no idea. It's ridiculous. Okay. Should you or should you not hang your signs upside down?
Why? No, you should not. Why would you do that?
Unfortunately, you should be hanging your signs upside down.
What? Why?
Remember when I mentioned earlier the diamond-shaped character with Fu, which means fortune. So when you put the sign upside down, it becomes Fu Dao because Dao means upside down, right? So it's Fu Dao is bringing
Pouring.
this prosperity into your home because Dao it also means here. So you're bringing the prosperity here into your home. It's super punny.
Got it. Signs upside down.
Should you or should you not cut your hair?
I'm guessing you should not.
Correct! Cutting your hair is another sign of getting rid of good luck. New year, new luck. Don't cut it away. Don't clean it away. Don't wash it away.
You want to get a haircut? Do it before the New Year's. That's what I did.
So all the hairdressers have nothing to do right now, or the
No.
They're all closed anyways. It's
They're-
Chinese New Year.
They're probably on break.
Okay.
Should you, for breakfast on Chinese New Year Day, eat what you would call porridge, but we would call congee, so like a rice porridge? Would you eat congee on Chinese New Year Day? Yes or no?
Sure, why not? It's delicious.
Unfortunately not. This one's really facetious in my opinion. Rice porridge is seen as poor man's food. Like, it's really cheap, it's really affordable. And on the New Year, you got to live it up. If you have a poor breakfast, that means you're gonna have a poor whole year. So you gotta like bring it out and like have a fancy breakfast.
No kanji.
No kanji allowed.
No kanji. Signs upside down. Firecrackers, yes. Cutting your hair, no.
Yep.
No.
Wow.
No.
Are any of these, going back to, we talked about Christmas food traditions, right? Are any of these written down? How do you learn all of these rules?
I know some of them from family and stuff, but like they have it on Google. But usually it's the oral tradition, oral history.
And it's normally told to you by your parents
Or grandparents.
in a way that's kind of like, why
No.
don't you know this already?
You must know a Chinese person.
Yeah. For example, like the new clothes thing, that was like a really big deal in my family. Every year my mom would go shopping. We'd all buy a whole new outfit. And then ideally it'd be something red, not white, because that's associated with funerals, or black or blue. It should be brightly colored, ideally red or orange and yellow. Gold is also fabulous.
Bonus points if it's a traditional garment.
Yeah. But this goes
Right.
back to ancient China, when maybe a person might have only one or two outfits.
Yeah.
And so you would get one new outfit a year,
yeah.
and it would be on Chinese New Year Day.
It really fits into capitalism. Anyway.
Do or do not give money away.
Do.
Correct. Honestly, I think our favorite Chinese New Year tradition,
Yeah.
legit, I mean, aside from the food,
Yeah.
there's something called lychee packets. They're little red envelopes where older married couples will just like hand them out to young single people. If you're a little
Ooh.
kid during Chinese New Year, you can just go ask people like, Gong xi fa cai, and then they might just give you cash. It's excellent. As a teenager and an absolute fucking brat, I used to say, Gong hei fa cai, lai xi dou lai, which translates to, congratulations, be prosperous, now give me the money. I was a terrible human being. Do you want to say it correctly for me?
It's 恭喜發財, 利是到來.
There we go. I made it rhyme. This is why I have a Sarah, okay?
Oh, that's great. I've got to say, in Denmark, we do have Halloween now, but we didn't used to. But we do have sort of the Danish tradition is called fastelavn, and it's in February. And kids do go trick-or-treating, but they go trick-or-treating for money. Yeah, you'll dress up in costumes, you knock on a stranger's door, and then you basically say, give me money or I'll prank you. Trick or treat. That's how we do it in Denmark. So I can relate. Yeah. Happy New Year, give me money. There's another Danish connection is Superstitions. There's a famous story about Niels Bohr, the Nobel Prize winning physicist. at his summer home on North Copenhagen, he had an upside down sort of like a horseshoe
Yeah.
nailed over the front door, and people were asking, visiting physicists would ask him, so you don't believe in that, do you? Why do you have a horseshoe over your door? And he said, no, I don't believe in it, but I've heard that it works, even if you don't believe in it.
I feel like that's a lot of the stuff with me as well. Like, I don't necessarily believe in having a new item of clothing for Chinese New Year. I'm still gonna go shopping though. I'm still gonna have a new outfit just in case. So that was our game. Did you keep track of your score? Because I totally forgot to keep track of your score.
You win anyway.
Yay! I'm sure I was the participant who did the best. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, by far,
Yes.
by far. You succeeded.
Nobody beat me.
No one. And so that was our game of do or do not. There is no chai. Chinese New Year edition.
That was awesome.
So the next thing that is very important anytime you have any form of celebration is clearly the food.
I have a favorite dish. It's a salad called lo hei, which translates to rise up. It's more commonly found in Singapore and Malaysia, so it's not so common in Hong Kong. It's a salad made up of various lucky ingredients, which is served like an Instagram pokeball, and then it gets mixed together by having everyone throw it in the air with their chopsticks while yelling auspicious phrases.
Before we go any further, I'm going to put a little link into our script document. That's from our Chinese New Year celebrations this year. And just tell me what you see when you click that link.
There's a plate of salad, people with chopsticks seemingly ready to pounce. Everybody grabs some food and tosses the salad. Yeah. Communal salad mixing.
Hopefully you hear us just yelling random things at the salad.
This is a thoroughly mixed salad by now. Are there bonus points for actually throwing some of it on the table, or?
It's part of the thing.
It is bonus points to throw it high. The higher you throw it, the better your luck will be for the year.
But it's understood that's going to be messy.
And what are you yelling?
We're actually yelling auspicious phrases. So it's mostly idioms. Like, for example, one of the most expensive ingredient in the salad is the raw fish. So for that, you say 年年有余, which means abundance throughout the year. But it's also very punny because 鱼 also means fish.
Yeah.
So for each ingredient, there's a specific thing you can say. And then as you're throwing it in the air, you can say things like higher pay or like
lift the restrictions. It's just basically you're yelling what you want to the universe.
Yeah. It's kind of like The Secret, but at salad.
Yeah. Like, so if you are a kid, you would be like 学业进步, which means like have good grades.
At a salad, I like that. Not a wishing well, a wishing salad.
It's a very yummy wishing.
Yeah.
meal.
And then you eat the salad, or?
Yep. You eat the salad.
It's delicious. It's super yummy. Another example of like Chinese punniness at its highest, there is a type of cake called nian gao.
You got it right.
I did?
Yeah.
Which is another homonym or pun for like higher year or grow every year. We do love our puns. It's a glutinous rice cake that's flavored with brown sugar. And then in Malaysia, once you've steamed it, you dip it in coconut flakes. And this is how my mom likes it. I think she is incorrect. In Cantonese culture, you take the slices, you dip them in egg, and then fry it. So it's kind of like French toast. This is my preferred method of eating this. So you have like the eggy outside. On the inside is this like glutinous rice, soft, squishy, brown sugar, tasty. And this is one of the things that I had to eat while we were writing the script for this podcast because I wrote about it for about 3 seconds. And then I was like, Sarah, I need to go make some now. So good.
What about you, Sarah? What's your favorite?
I'm going to share with you one of my favorite cookies. It's a little tapioca flour-based cookie that's pressed into a traditional wooden mold. You may realize that the name is not Chinese. It's actually Malay, kueh bangkit. Kueh means cake, and bangkit means to rise up or to expand because the cookie expands its size while baking. It's a Malay snack, but nowadays it's used to celebrate a new year or celebrations in general. So be it Hari Raya, which Hari means happy, Raya just also means New Year, or the Chinese New Year. So it's really yummy. I can eat so many of them.
Sounds delicious. No, I'm all hungry.
Yeah. For the record, all the things we're talking about is a very small fraction of the things that you could eat or could have for
Yes.
Chinese New Year.
Yes.
These are the things that we've picked out because
Our favorites.
Mhm.
It's our favorites.
So the last one is very special to me, 饺子 or dumplings. The reason why dumplings are traditional around Chinese New Year is because they look like little money pouches, and therefore they represent fortune and prosperity for the coming year. And
Right.
they are typically made around Chinese New Year for that reason, but also because you have family around. And nothing makes dumpling production faster than a production line of small hands. Yeah, so it's a lot easier to make dumplings when you have lots of people around, and then you can make so many, freeze them, and then you have them for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so no matter where I am in the world, I always make dumplings. I always find people to come over. I make a little found family moment, and I make dumplings, because no matter where you are in the world, you can for sure find the stuff you need to make dumplings. If you can't find the dumpling wrappers, it's just flour and water, and the filling can be kind of whatever you want to put inside of them. This is definitely for me, like, the number one Chinese New Year food is dumpling. It got to be a family thing. This year, me, Sarah, and my brother made them together, and it was a full production line, and it was everything my heart could ever dream of. That's what I want. I want many people, many hands make light work.
Mm-mm. Also a pasta machine.
Yeah, that was helpful. That was very helpful.
I gotta say, I love the idea of that. I mean, first you make it together and then you eat them together. I'm trying to think. I don't think we have a single tradition in Denmark that is similar where people make the food together. I mean, barbecues maybe, but usually one person hogs the grill. No, I don't think we have that.
I think the other cultural tradition I can think of that's not ours, in Mexican culture, I know that Christmas is often the time where they come together to make tamales. And I think
Hmm.
that's a very similar process where everyone kind of comes together to start wrapping them. And then they're also steamed, which is quite cool. Very similar.
I'm
Yeah.
hungry.
There is one food I wanted to ask you about. Because my favorite YouTube channel, or Chinese food related YouTube channel, Chinese Cooking Demystified, published a photo on
Okay.
Instagram of a tin of Danish cookies. And they were like, we must have this for New Year's. Like classic blue, huge tin of Danish butter cookies. And apparently that was a thing for them.
I know why. Let me tell you why. It's not so much the cookies
Huh?
as it is the tin. What
Yeah.
happens is, once you're done with the cookies, your grandma, or a generic Chinese grandma in the story, would actually use the tin to keep their sewing supplies.
That's not Chinese thing. That's an everybody thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but like that's usually what happens. You'd be like, oh my gosh, I see a cookie tin. Open. Oh damn, it's not cookies.
I have had that specific experience at my grandma's as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opening one of those things, I'm like, sewing supplies?
It's an everybody thing.
It's an everybody cool.
Because you sent me this post on Instagram, and I
Mhm.
looked at it, and I asked my mom, and she didn't know either. So
Okay.
I think it's because it's tradition around Chinese New Year to bring gifts of food to friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
When it's Chinese New Year, you generally, on the first day, if you're a married couple, you'll visit the husband's family on day one, and then the wife's family on day two. Like, there's a lot of family visits happening, and it's very rude to show up empty-handed. You have to show up with a thing. I think it's because it's round, and all the cookies are round.
I think if that's the case, if you're talking about the food itself, then it's probably the cookie.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm bringing cookies. I don't know.
I think it's because it's a round cookie. It's a golden cookie. Like, those are all very fortunate things. That's what I think it is. And also it's pre-packaged, which makes it easy to bring. Like, I read about Chinese New Year, all the 7-Elevens in Hong Kong all of a sudden up the amount of like Ferrero Rocher and like various pre-packaged sweet cookie things. So that when you're on the way to your family's house, you just pick up like an extra box of goodies. Because you'd bring oranges, but then you might also bring like a box of cookies.
The Ferrero Rocher is a really big thing here.
Yeah. If it was
Also
Ferrero Rocher,
round.
I would be like, that makes sense.
Yes.
But it was the cookies. I'm not. Maybe they're in Guangdong, right? Guangzhou, Guangdong. I don't remember.
I forget. Yeah.
I can say for Hong Kong, not a thing, but also not a monolith. For the final quickfire round of Chinese New Year things, is we both decided to share one memory of Chinese New Year from our childhood. In Denmark, is there a tradition where you have to sing a song for a particular festival? Like, is there like a specific Christmas carol that's sung every year in Denmark?
We have a ton of those. Yeah, ton of Christmas carols. We do have like Midsummer Song. There
Oh.
are yeah, there are winter songs, there are Easter songs, there are yeah, we have a ton of those.
So for Chinese New Year, there's this one song. I had to sing this song every single year at school assembly, and I barely remember how to sing it.
That style of music have a name? Seems very familiar to me from like movies and that kind of thing.
I think it's just Chinese instruments. The
Yeah.
main one you hear is the erhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned Mandarin in school. I am absolute shit at Mandarin. I hated it. I was so bad at it. So I would always sing. 就是恭喜恭喜恭喜恭喜 and I can only do the bit leading into the chorus. Then we get to the chorus, and the chorus is a bop, and I would just like go ham on that because I knew I knew how to sing that. I could do that bit.
There's only 2 syllables there. 3. Me.
That's my memory of Chinese New Year as a kid.
My memory as a kid was this one time we went to Malacca, which is in Malaysia, and the laws are different there because I, like, for once got to play with firecrackers and fireworks. Like, it was crazy. We put it on the ground, lit it, and it went. You can't do that in Singapore.
you can't do that in Hong
It's
Kong either.
banned.
Yeah. So in Hong Kong, they have like the government will put on a firework display every year. You're not allowed to do it yourself
You're not allowed to do
individually.
it. I think it's because the city's too dense and you run fire hazardous if you do
Very
that.
dangerous.
But it's so much fun. It's so loud.
You gotta scare away the bad luck. yo.
Yeah, you gotta scare away the bad luck. Boom, boom.
But I assume that firecrackers are allowed in Hong Kong, or
Neither.
no?
Nope.
Not even firecrackers. Huh.
We rely on the giant government fireworks to scare away the monster.
What you can have though is those tiny sparklers.
Yeah, those are
not
fun
the same.
too, I guess. So we have in Denmark for New Year's, fireworks are a huge thing, and actually the rest of the year you're not allowed to set fireworks off as a private person. But for I think it's 3 or 4 days leading up to New Year's Eve, and of course on New Year's Eve you can, and people go crazy. They spend a shitload of money on the biggest rockets. I never do because I just enjoy everybody else's stuff. That's just way easier.
Those are things we're enthusiastic about for Chinese New Year.
I
Alex,
love it.
what were the things that stood out to you? What were things that you would like to try doing in the future?
The whole making and eating dumplings as a communal thing, that stands out to me. I love that kind of thing. Making a tradition out of that, I think, is fantastic. The whole found family aspect that you talk about, I think is lovely. I love that kind of thing. I want to do that. And it's still going on. How long is Chinese New Year? When does it end this year?
Lucky for you, you still got time. It doesn't end until the 15th, and I've also included a dumpling recipe in the links to share, so you can follow that recipe. I will say that recipe is one of thousands upon thousands. So if you wanted to make a vegetarian dumpling, you can do that. If you want to make your own dumpling skins, you can do that. It's all very like you can kind of make them how you want to make them. But yes, I highly encourage, please send me photos if you do.
I will definitely do that. The other thing that really spoke to me is the giving single people money. I like that. I want to. Yeah,
it's dope.
Yeah, just.
It's just like,
do you have these little envelopes ready on you? How does it work?
Yes. What generally married people will do is we have a stash of them here. What is more commonly done nowadays is that you'll have multiple colors of envelopes. So you'll have, like, for example, you'll have a burgundy one and you'll have a lighter red one, and there'll be different amounts of money in each envelope. And so that way you're not necessarily giving out like 10 euro to everybody you see, but maybe you'll have like a 10 euro one for your best friend's daughter, and then you'll have like a 2 euro one for like the person who's the next door neighbor's child's niece.
The annoying kid on the street.
Yeah, you're expected to give lychee out to a lot of people. And like, for example, if there is a building manager, you probably give them lychee as well. If there's the janitor at your workplace, you probably also give them lychee as well. You probably have a couple different levels of lychee in your wallet at any given time, and then you can distribute accordingly. It's no longer just limited to young single people, but as a young single person, it's excellent.
Mhm.
As a young single person whose brother got married this year, it's doubly excellent because he had to give me lychee this year, and I'm a shitty little sister. And I had so much. I did a little happy dance. It was great. I took a photo. It was fabulous.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I like that. Generosity is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's forced generosity anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not complaining. I'm on the receiving end.
For the marriage, do you give money to the married couple, or do you give regular presents?
No, you
What's the
can do
tradition?
both. You can give lychee at weddings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually customary to give a red packet. It's sort of kind of a little bit helping the bride and groom pay off for their ceremony.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those get huge, right?
Mm-hmm. Depending
Yeah.
on how extravagant you're going.
Yeah.
I was in New York's Chinatown, and we saw a wedding party. It was
Mhm.
massive. The cars, the clothes, the people. It was
Mhm.
huge.
And then I'm assuming you didn't go to the banquet because Chinese wedding banquets are insane.
It's like 10 courses.
8 to 10
8
courses.
to 10 courses of dishes.
And like they're going to get more extravagant as the courses go on. That was our summation of Chinese New Year. What did you, the listener, think about it? Do you have any specific things that you do for the Lunar New Year that we did not mention? Or is there any tasty things that you tend to eat around about this time of year that I need to know about so that I can then go find it and eat it as well? Go to our website or our Instagram at Electric Enthusiasm and let me know. I think we desperately want to know about everyone's different traditions they have for the Lunar New Year.
That's awesome. That was so interesting. In this moment of meta, I want to talk about hope and the future. Yes, because in our last episode, you talked about your nerdy little gratitude journal, right?
Yes. My super dork moment.
Yes, which I love. And you talk about catching those moments, and that's basically enthusiasm for the past, right? Picking out those things that went really well and savoring them, enjoying them once again. I mean, they feel good when they happen, but you can actually enjoy them all over again when you remember them instead of just letting them pass by. So you could call that enthusiasm for the past. And that's great. And there's a ton of research on why that's so important for our happiness in general. But equally important is enthusiasm for the future. Being able to look into the future and thinking, you know what, it's actually, things are going to work out. It's going to be pretty good. It might even be better than what we have today. There's a whole branch of psychology called hope theory, which looks at what happens to people when they have hope for the future or when they don't. And I think we live in times that have made it a little bit hard to have hope for the future, maybe?
What?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, right? There's actually data on this that millennials are the first generation in a while, you guys, who do not expect the world to be better in the future than it is now or than it has been up to now.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I think the world's not going to get better.
I want to challenge that perception a little bit. I think I want to talk about why it actually makes sense to believe that the world will be better. There might be factual reasons to believe that it will be. And if nothing else, it's good for you to have hope and enthusiasm about the future. All through modern times, people have had this belief, starting in the 1900s and in the 20th century. People had this belief that the world was getting better. You had technological advances, you had advancing prosperity. There is a fantastic book by Bill Bryson, the American travel writer, this wonderful memoir of his childhood called The Life and Times of the Thunderbolt Kid, which is about growing up in Iowa in the 1950s.
Excellent name of a book. Excellent
Yes,
name.
right?
Top notch.
And without wanting to paint, America in the 1950s as this paradisical wonderland, because it was not, he talks about, getting a fridge. His family got a refrigerator, and that was a big deal. And they would invite friends and family members over and then, casually ask, hey, would you like some cold lemonade? We got a fridge.
Flex that fridge, yo.
Yeah, right. Certainly up through the 20th century, there was this sense that the world is getting better, right? People got cars, they got TVs, they got color TVs, they got a second car. A lot of that was turned out to be material prosperity that did not necessarily make our lives that much better, but there was that sense that things were getting better. And in polls, if you ask people, so do you think your child will have a better life than you? Most people would say yes. We've lost that a little bit. Driving that, I think, is two things. One is growing economic inequality. So the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. That wasn't the case in the 20th century as much. It started very much being the case in the 80s and 90s. But before that, it was more evenly distributed, the increase in wealth. And then, of course, the other thing is global warming, which is an existential threat to the entire planet.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. I think it still makes sense to be optimistic about the future and to believe that the future will be better than what we have today, maybe even a lot better. We've survived big crises before, right? The big existential crisis in the 20th century was, of course, nuclear war. That was a looming threat. In 1963, the Cuban Missile Crisis almost triggered a nuclear war. These things did not happen. And it might not be a coincidence. It might be that the world is actually, on the whole, not from day to day, but on the whole, over time, getting better and better and better. In our last episode, I mentioned the book called Non-Zero by Robert Wright. Fantastic book, in which he argues that the world is basically getting better. And we are seeing more collaboration, we are seeing more knowledge, more science, increase in quality of life for a lot of humans. That's one book that gives me hope for the future. The other one is, of course, Factfulness by Hans Rossling. He was a Swedish statistician, and his thing was basically to look at the world in pure numbers and then finding the good stories. So, for instance, right now, fewer people die in wars than probably ever before in human history. More children get an education. More children grow up in middle class like circumstances than ever before. More children actually grow up. Infant mortality is dropping in all countries across the world. One of the examples that he mentions, something that people thought, a lot of people still think, will be an existential crisis, was global overpopulation.
Hmm.
A lot of people were like, it used to be 7 billion people, now it's 10 billion people. He looks at the numbers, and what he finds is that, yes, people in poor countries have a lot of children, but as soon as the country achieves a fairly large middle class, the population growth levels off or even turns into a population decline. And this happens across all cultures, across all countries. So he argues that world population will stabilize at around 10 or 11 billion people. There won't be a global overpopulation crisis. That was a long way of saying that I think there is every reason to be optimistic about the future. And this is not the kind of optimism where I just lay back and say, it's all going to be fine. I don't need to do anything. This is the kind of optimism that comes from knowing that, hey, we can actually fix these problems. We can solve these issues and we can create a better future together. And that feeling that the world is going to get better is so important for our well being. And I think there's every reason to believe that. What do you guys think?
Mm.
I think you had a very skeptical audience for this pitch.
Mhm. I do see where you're coming from. And I'm half convinced. Listening to that, if let's say examples from the past have shown that we are still able to work through our global problems, then I think perhaps there is a chance that in the future that we can. But I think people need to take action now. You can't
Yes.
just, like you said, faff about. If you're just sitting about, like, I don't think climate change is gonna change. It's not gonna improve. So we need to do something now. Mobilize.
The reason why I'm really skeptical that the future will be better, one, like the income inequality gap situation, like I'm definitely not going to earn as much money as my parents did. For sure, no.
Same.
I'm in a very privileged position where I've chosen to go into the arts, which I could not have done if I did not have a middle class or upper middle class upbringing, right? That's the opportunity that was afforded to me because I have wealthier parents. But so those are kind of inherently linked. But also the global warming thing. So I am one of those people who I got really into like eco stuff and trying to be better. Like I went vegan, I went vegetarian. Now I'm very not that. I'm very flexitarian because Hong Kong is so many delicious meat things. It's terrible. But like the more I looked into it, the more I realized that individual action is not good enough. We need collective action at a much larger scale than individual action. And I think that's really hard. It's so hard to motivate a big group of people to make regular and consistent changes in their lives. And I think that's where my skepticism comes from. It's just like, yeah, I totally agree. We can make a difference. And yeah, we have faced massive issues as a global population in the past and fought against it. But we seem to really struggle with like some basic ass shit. Like, hey guys, don't eat so much meat. It's really like, it'll make such a huge difference. Don't eat so much meat. Maybe walk to work. Don't drive your car everywhere. Like, it's real. Like, do you have any idea how hard it is to get people to wear a face mask? Like, and so that's my skepticism. It's just, it's hard to get people to take collective action.
I think one of the solutions probably is systemic change. So it's not just an individual inciting that change, but also having government initiatives. So say, take the recycling program in Hong Kong. It's not recycling. The cleaners are just like taking out everything from the bins and putting in the same trash bin and throwing it away. Like, systemically, from a government point of view, if let's say they are strong enough to incite change, let's look at positive examples like in Japan. I mean, I think that's a great example. They separate their trash and it's going to the correct facilities to get processed.
Also, on the overpopulation thing, you mentioned that some countries are at the other end of the spectrum where they have a problem. Singapore is one of those places, and it's hilarious. They have adverts trying to convince people to have babies.
Yeah, they give you money so you make babies. But I think the other thing is babies are so expensive to make in Singapore. People in my age group, not super motivated to have children.
But also, you should look up Singapore baby adverts.
They're so funny.
The government produced PSAs encouraging you to have babies. Inadvertent comedy gold.
I know.
Yeah.
But I also inherently, deep down, fundamentally believe the world is getting better. The history of our narrative as humanity. I can English. Can't Chinese, can't English. I fundamentally believe in my heart of hearts that the trend of humanity goes towards collaboration, towards peace, and towards it being a better place. I believe that. I just don't always believe that.
I think more so I don't see it. I don't see it in the everyday. I hear about it unlike the Western world, but not so much in Asia.
Oh, definitely.
As a start, yeah. I see a little seed of hope. Little tiny seed of hope.
And that's the thing. I think the important thing here is to have that belief that the future can be better, and then use that not to relax and say, well, that's cool, then I don't need to do anything. But use that belief in the future to say, that's awesome. Now what can I do? And more importantly, what can we do as, as societies, as a species, to actually make the world a better place? But I will say that this has been going on. This is going on. The world is getting better on so many parameters. It's kind of hard to find a specific metric where the world has gotten worse over the last 50 or 100 years. Except for global warming and economic inequality. Those two are getting worse. Everything else, pretty much everything else, is getting better on the whole. We as human beings have something called negativity bias, which just means that we're better at picking up on the bad stuff than the good stuff. It's just that's just the way our minds work. And of course, the news, they will highlight every bad news story, and they will sort of, and then at the end of 30 minutes of bad news, they'll give you like, panda born at the zoo, or whatever, right?
We could do a whole episode from me about like the inherent political machinations of pandas, because it's fascinating. But that's like a story for another day.
I did not know that. We need to do that episode. Yes, we need to talk about the political pandas. In our links for this episode, I'll include a link to those two books, Non-Zero by Robert Wright. Fantastic book. It's long, but it's very, very good. And it's super dry. There's occasional really dry humor in the middle of the book. You're like, did he just say that? And it's amazing. And then there's Factfulness by Hans Rossling and his amazing TED Talk. I'm going to link to those as well, because the numbers do show that the world is getting better in so many ways. And that is what gives me hope for the future, and I need hope for the future. If I
Mhm.
honestly believe that the future would be worse, I need to believe that, and I do believe that.
That was really lovely. Hmm. I will say, our podcast, I think we should have a page on our website of book recommendations.
Yes.
Because just from the Wayfarers episode, I sent you the list of books that we recommended in that one episode. We've got 2 more book recommendations to add to that list now.
Yes.
You've heard a couple episodes of the podcast, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious to get a Sarah recommendation. Which episode of the podcast did you enjoy that you listened to?
I know which one.
Which one?
So, as you know, Katie is super into drag. And guess who else is also into drag? It's all her fault. So my favorite episode is the drag episode. I think listening to the history behind drag and the variety of people, they're so interesting. I would recommend you go have a listen to that.
Mm-hmm. I should do another drag episode because that was like drag 101. We could do drag 201.
Advanced drag.
Alex, can you think of any episodes? If someone liked this one, which one should they go listen to next?
I feel like the Christmas food episode would be a good
That's a good one.
complement for this one, because there are a lot of other weird traditions, like the Slovakian bathtub carp.
Oh, I was gonna say the caramel potatoes. Caramel potatoes.
That sounds delicious.
It
Dude,
is.
I really want to try. We should make the caramel potatoes. Can you send me a recipe for the caramel potatoes?
We can make
I
them.
absolutely can. I will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would say, considering the moment of meta was all about hope, I think the Wayfarer series episode, that would be a really great episode to listen to because it's all about a book series, which is Hope Punk. And so we talk a lot about hope and the future being better than it is today. So I think the moment of meta would fit really nicely with that episode.
Yes. Hope punk. That's a good genre. That's a good genre right there.
Descript is our editing software and it auto transcribes everything. And it does not do super well all the time. And when it doesn't, it's fantastic. I was going through Descript and I noticed it wrote this thing and it's trying to be a name that we have said on the show in the last episode. Who is this?
Lin Memoranda? Lin-Manuel Miranda.
So on Descript, it's Lin Memo full stop Rhonda. I've got more of these. What is that?
Arcos against Vorkosigan.
Vorkosigan! On Descript, it's our capital C, capital O, capital E, small s against. Arcos against.
Yeah.
Vorkosigan was a real struggle for Descript.
Have fun on this episode.
My
I'm excited to see what Quaybunk looks like.
favorite thing is still the Chachan Tang that became Tatiana Tanks or Chatline 10. We should say Descript is a fantastic piece of software. We love it to bits, but it has its struggles when you deviate from regular English words, which we do a lot. Yes.
A huge thank you to Sarah for helping out in this episode.
You're very welcome.
It made it so much easier. I'm so nervous speaking Chinese on this podcast, and also it was really cool because I spent Chinese New Year celebrating with you.
It was fun.
We hope you enjoyed sharing some of our enthusiasms in this episode. Please visit our website, electricenthusiasm.com, or find us on Instagram at electricenthusiasm to discover more episodes or to leave a comment.
Congratulations, dear listener. Now, give me all your money. That was great.
Good job, team.
Good job.